Yeah, we got camp updates coming on right now. Javon Kinlaw, how's he doing? How's he been doing with his recovery? What has practice looked like for Javon Kinlaw? Also, Ty Davis Price, he's been a little inconsistent, coming on strong as of late. We're going to talk about that. And of course, Trey Lance, how has he looked as of late in practice? Got to take the ups with the downs with the ups. We're going to discuss all that and more right here with my guy Jason Aponte on the San Francisco 49ers Morning Show. Let's go.
Intercepted. It is picked off by Eric Crocker over midfield. He'll run it all the way into the end zone. Touchdown.
Crop Talk TV podcast. Peace.
Welcome to another episode of the San Francisco 49ers Morning Show. I'm your host, former NFL and AFL defensive back, Eric Crocker. And as you can see right now, I'm joined by my guy, Jason Aponte. He is at Jason Aponte 2103 on Twitter. I am at Eric_Crocker. We thank you for tuning in this morning to talk some 49er football. And I keep looking at my DSLR camera because usually I have that hooked up and I'm looking, but I forgot to charge it. So now it's like, okay, look right there to that camera right there. We are, again, a little bit later than usual. Typically, we go at 6:30 a.m. Pacific time. I've been training athletes in the morning, so, it's pushed back a little bit, but we'll get back into our groove of things come Monday. Monday, we should be back to our normal recording schedule, I think. Anyways, got my guy Jason Aponte with me, man. Jason, what's good, bro?
I'm with you, man. What's going on? I see a lot of flames in here and stuff. And
okay. So the flames, that's for them. They're telling you how they're feeling.
I know.
Okay.
And yeah. I know how. Hey, man, why you acting like I've never been on here and like I don't watch the show? Like, okay. What I wanted to say is, your intro sounds like something that Rick Ross would absolutely slide on. Like, lemon peppers on my wings and it's like why does it sound so Maybach music? You need that drop like on there too.
Music.
I know. Yeah. I know that's copyright things, but that's what I got. Those are the vibes I got from your intro music.
I actually have a new intro beat and everything. I'm gonna have a whole new intro for this show and a new one for my quarterback show with Greg Pinelli as well. We kicked that off next week. We were gonna start this week, but I was like, man, let's wait because it's not just we will, on every single episode, talk about Trey Lance, but it's not just Trey Lance. Because how much can you talk about the same thing for the same guy every single week? That can get old. So we're going to talk about quarterbacks around the league. He's going to bring on great guests. Man, we're trying to get big dogs, too. He's talking about some big dogs that he's encountered and developed relationships with, so I can't wait for that. But he'll have his own intro. But, yeah, man, I'm excited for that show. But, yeah, I reached out on social media, on Twitter, to I didn't reach out. I put out there like, hey, if there are any Stockton rappers, y'all know I'm real 209. You see, I got the UOP shirt on today, University of Pacific. You feel me? But if there are any Stockton rappers out there who got a beat I can use for an intro, so a bunch of dudes hit me. So I got some stuff cooking up right now. I got to hit my boy. I forgot. It's been whirlwind stuff going on as of late.
And Croc, real quick, Brian's in here, man, and he told us a story on my show. You were on there, right? Like about like the whole the 49ers used to practice in Stockton. Why that doesn't happen anymore, man?
Yeah. So you didn't know about that?
I did not know about that at all. I promise you, I didn't know about that.
Oh yeah, man. So when I was a kid, dude, like I used to middle school, man. I'm in middle school. I used to take the bus up to UOP every morning to watch the 49ers training camp practices. And a couple cool stories before we get into this stuff today. But I used to wear my big brother's jersey and they had my last name on the back. So, I'd be up there. I used to go to this one little spot all the time. I'd get all the autographs after practice. And, of course, like the players would get used to seeing me there, some of the coaches. So Mariucci started calling me by name, right? Because I wear my brother's jersey all the time with our last name on it. So Mooch used to be like, hey, what's up, Crocker? You get any good autographs today? Like, you know what I'm saying? I'm a little kid. So those are some of the things I remember. A funny story with, and I've told this on Locked On 49ers. Make sure y'all tune into that 5 days a week, with my guy, Brian Peacock. But I told this story on there, but Keena Turner, right? Back in the day, throwback, linebacker. I saw him one day, and I'm like, sir, can I get your autograph? And he's like, kid, do you even know who I am? And I'm like, no. And he's like, go home, find out who I am, and if you can tell me who I am, I'll give you an autograph. So I went home and I had this plaque. I gotta find it, but I had this plaque of a Super Bowl winning 49er team, and I'm just looking at all their faces, looking at it. Boom, spotted him, Keenan Turner. So then went up to practice. I told him, I said, "You're Keenan Turner." He was like, "That's right." Gave me an autograph.
Nice.
Well, as a credentialed member of the media for the 49ers, you're on the field. I'm at practice. I'm watching the 49ers training camp. Keenan Turner's right there. So I tell Keenan Turner that story about when I was in middle school, and he kind of shot me down, but then came back around and did me a solid by signing the autograph. But yeah, they used to be in Stockton, and that was like a big thing. Stockton has University of the Pacific. They have a basketball team. They actually in 2000, 2001, around there, had the number 1 overall pick in the NBA draft. Michael Oluwankandi, I believe it was drafted to the Clippers.
I remember him. Hawaii.
No, he went to UOP.
Oh, he did? But
yeah,
he's not from Hawaii though? Like
he might be from somewhere else.
Oh,
but I know he went to UOP.
Yeah.
But anyways, they used to have a football program. So Pete Carroll coached there. Hugh Jackson coached there. John Gruden coached there.
Wow.
So all of them, yeah, they were all coming from Stockton early on. I believe Pete Carroll actually played at UOP, played defensive back. So, they got some Stockton ties, man, but they got rid of the football program like in the late 90s or something like that. So they ended up getting rid of the football field, et cetera. But yeah, okay. Yeah, man. UOP, Stockton. Yeah, 49ers used to have training camp there. And it was a big thing, but it was so damn hot. You know what I'm saying? Like Stockton gets hella hot. And they were in Rockland before. I saw somebody put that in the chat up here. So Rockland is like.
Wait, and Tim Hardaway is the coach of the basketball team right now?
No, it was Damon Stoudemire.
Oh, Stoudemire. Okay.
Yeah, so it was Damon Stoudemire, and he just last year was his first year coaching for the Celtics. So he's like an assistant coach on the Celtics now.
Yeah.
But for some years, it had been Damon Stoudemire.
And real quick, because I see it in the chat, happy birthday, Paul Hope, man. You're always showing love on Twitter. You're always out here in the streams, everything, man. Shout out to you, man. Love to you in the UK, bro. I just wanted to make sure we got that out there.
Oh, yeah, man. Shout out to my dog, Paul Hope. He right here. He said, literally just finished watching Jason's stream. Yeah, Jason was just live, but now we live here, and we are live to talk about what's going on with the 49ers and Javon Kinlaw. And I believe it was KMBR. Might have been 95-7 the game. I don't want to, mistake who it was, but they posted like a couple clips of him in practice, and you just see how massive this dude is. I'm like, golly, like, how are you as big as he is, weigh as much as he does, but look the way that he does? Like, that's a freak. I don't have those type of genetics. I know you don't have those type of genetics, right?
No.
Because he's the same height as you, but like 200 more pounds. So how has that size and that freakish look translated to the practice field so far in training camp?
It's funny because when you watched him play, he was already a great run stuffer. Like, he had already shown all of those things, right? And the problem is that a lot of people immediately with Javon Kinlaw were like, well, you're replacing DeForest Buckner. I need you to beat DeForest Buckner. But for me, their games couldn't be further from each other in terms of how they went. Like, DeForest Buckner is much more of a finesse guy. And yes, he got to the quarterback, and he was a good run stuffer, but he was never as powerful as Kinlaw is. So now what I'm seeing from Kinlaw now at camp is I'm seeing that run stuff that's there, but now he looks like he's ready to take this next step, pass rushing. And if he's inside paired with Eric Armstead, and this is why it's so important to get an edge guy who's going to be consistent to keep Eric Armstead inside. Javon Kinlaw said he was coming out here in the best shape of his life. I believe that because I look at him and he's a massive human, but I do think he's ready to take this next step because of what I've seen in one-on-ones. He's had limited reps, but whenever he's the guy with the reps, he's the one that's actually winning the reps. Sure, I think it was 1 or 2 reps he may have lost, but for the most part, Javon Kinlaw looks like the guy that they drafted so highly and looks like the guy that's ready to make an impact this season, especially when you consider who's going to be right next to him in Eric Armstead.
Yeah, that's going to be huge for the 49ers if Javon Kinlaw comes around. And for me, I never thought he was a bad actual football player. And I know people will look at sack numbers, and maybe the sack numbers weren't there. And again, he is a guy that's continuing to learn how to pass rush in the NFL. But he has dealt with injuries. He has dealt with different things that slowed him down. My goal for him this year is just, like, dude, can you just come in and at the very least be a really good two-down player? And when I say two-down player, I'm talking about a guy who comes in, runs stuffs on first down, second down. Maybe if a team passes on the early down, he's able to penetrate, get pressure on the quarterback here and there. But we need you to go all out for 2 plays in a row and really be that dominant player that you could potentially be. And then as he progresses with that and his health continues to get better and he's in great shape, all right, can we add some of the pass rush moves? But for now, right now, at least for this season, can you replace what the 49ers got from DJ Jones? And I thought DJ Jones, what he gave the 49ers from a run-stopping perspective, he was terrific. He was one of the best in the league, if not the best, on those early downs. So
no, he was number one. He was number one in run block or run stuff win rate. Like right. I know that's a stat that like likes to get thrown around, but that's how good DJ Jones was. And I think that people like lose sight of that. And it's just like, oh well, DJ Jones is gone. Javon Kinlaw can just step in. So I just wanted to add that.
Right, and to your point, he was so good at that. So just having somebody like, yeah, you can step in and replace him, but can you replace his production? And I think that's what we need to see now. So what are your expectations for Kinlaw this season? Like, is there like a statistical expectation, or for you, is it just what it looks like?
For me, it's just getting on the field and being on the field and being that presence. All that other stuff is going to take care of itself as long as he's on the field and healthy. And I hate putting expectations on numbers and things like that. That's, we'll talk about Trey Lance in a bit, but that's my problem with people talking about what needs to happen with Trey Lance from a statistical standpoint. I don't agree with any of that. With Kinlaw, he just needs to be that presence. Hold up a block, let Eric Armstead get those one-on-ones. And you know what? Maybe Eric Armstead replaces DJ Jones in that way because he's going to get those one-on-ones, and he was so dominant down the stretch. So for me, it's just be that presence, be that every down guy, be that guy that's going to be able to hold up blocks, have attention drawn to them because it'll only benefit this defensive line, which is so deep. So for me, I don't have a numbers expectation with the Croc. I just have more of a please be healthy and be on the field for a bunch of reps type of standpoint.
Yeah, big time potential. Of course, that's why the 49ers drafted him number 14 overall. And right now, you just need, I don't even want to say salvage. I hate that word because it makes it seem like he's just a lost cause.
No, I don't think so.
Can he, at the very least, excel at one area and then potentially build on that? We'll see. Another guy who I wanted to report on in training camp because, and real quick before I get to that, there were some other things that people brought up real quick in the chat. So first, did you see Dr. Disrespect throw that football?
Hey, yo, I'm tall, but 6'8" is exorbitantly tall. Like, he's that tall, bro. Like, and he threw that thing like 50 yards in the air. Like, no problem, man. Like, when do we sign Dr. Disrespect to a 10-day? Like, I know that's NBA. Like, how do we sign him to get him in the camp real quick or whatever to see what's up?
Right?
That was everybody joking about gaming, but like, come on, man, that was an impressive throw.
No, it was, and it was a tight spiral too. Here's my thing with that, and I try to tell people this sometimes they don't get it right. Like, look at guys like Logan Paul and Jake Paul, right? I think there's one that might be a little bit more talented than the other, but I believe it was Logan Paul. Y'all can correct me if I'm wrong. Which one was just wrestling?
I think I don't know.
All right, so one of them just wrestled, and it looked great. Like, it was amazing. He looked like a legit wrestler, right? And there were people, and I put like, man, like, dude's a superstar. And there were some people that try to shoot down like, oh, he's not that athletic, blah, blah. And I'm like, dude, what the fuck are you talking about? Like,
it's Logan.
Okay, Logan. So first of all, when talented people, they aren't just talented at one thing. I really, truly feel like there are a lot of guys who, if they were to put their focus and attention into something else, they would probably be or just as talented in that as well. So when I look at a guy like Logan Paul, and you see him, like Logan Thomas, a tight end, but Logan Paul, and you see him as a streamer, as a YouTuber, the personality, getting in the ring, fighting, right? And again, I get it. Like, if he were to fight a real quote unquote boxer right now, yeah, he'd probably get beat up. But he's not someone that puts all his attention and his whole life into boxing right now. I feel like if he did, he'd be probably good at it. Would he be undefeated or something like that? No, I'm not. Or challenge people for a belt. I'm not saying that. But he'd be very talented at it. He was like an all-state, all-American wrestler and football player. Like, dude is extremely talented. I say all that to say, Dr. Disrespectful. He's a guy who played college basketball.
He did,
albeit Division II.
Hey.
I think I heard he potentially played overseas, but regardless of that, he figured it out, and he has a talent and a lane in streaming. And clearly, you see him step on the field and be able to throw a football 60 yards in the air in a tight spiral. There are some people that are just more talented. They're just born with more talent than everybody else, and I think he's one of them.
Hey, look, when you win those like when I was a kid, right, in '93, I was the same age as him, right? He won those blockbuster gaming things. That's something to aspire to, man. Like, I tried to go into one of those blockbuster gaming things. I lost in the first round in NBA Jam because that's tough. You know what I mean? Like, You got guys that have been practicing for a ton. For him to win back-to-back, I think it's funny. And you know what? Another thing, too. For me, right, he does content. I do content. A lot of people say, well, whatever, he's just a YouTuber. Do you know how hard it is to build up a fan base? You know how hard it is to be entertaining? You know how hard it is to build your channel up? Like, that's not easy. Plenty of people that are deserving of attention don't nearly get it. And that's not anything a detriment to them. But what he does with his YouTube channel, like, and everything else, you have to give him credit for that because it's hard. It's not easy. And a lot of people quit immediately. And that's the advice I can give anybody that's watching this that wants to do YouTube, that wants to do 49ers podcast, that wants to do anything in any sort of way, is you can't be easily deterred. But for him, I have to give credit. Like, I looked at his channel, like, and I just was looking up because you posted those 2 videos on Twitter today. I looked him up on YouTube. He has 4 million subscribers on YouTube, bro. For what? Him yelling at the screen playing Fortnite? Is it that easy? No, you got to be entertaining, bro. So, again, as somebody who does content, I'm not going to lie, man. He's very entertaining, and that's not easy, man. Like, don't act like that's easy.
That's Logan Paul right there. Like, look at this dude, man.
That's not bad, man.
This is a YouTube streamer.
That's not bad, man.
Oh, no, he was going crazy. There was something. What else did he do, man? He did one where he jumped like, look at this dude. He looked like a natural out here.
That looks really good. And I know you got to sell that, right? And it's like they choreograph all that stuff. We get it. Like, but you know how hard that is to, like, sell all of those things and do that? That's not easy.
Nah, not at all. But dude's extremely talented. Anyways, enough of Logan Paul. I know people are like, dude, we came here to talk about the San Francisco 49ers, man, not Logan Paul. I know. My bad, y'all. My bad.
Or Dr. Disrespect.
Right. Or Dr. Disrespect. All right. Anyways, next guy I want to talk about, man, Ty Davis-Price. And there were some moments in practice where, or at least leading up to me being there, people were like, oh, man, it's not that great, right? You guys were telling me that. It hasn't looked good. The vision, he's still trying to figure it out, running into guys' backs. And then I show up, and I'm watching him, and I'm like, this doesn't quite look like what y'all told me, because he's out here. He looked fluid.
It didn't look good for us.
Yeah, man, he's looking fluid. He's making guys miss. He's running strong. He's finishing off runs, running through people. Not even supposed to be tackling, but he's like, man, I'm going to run and bring that funk to you right now. So Ty Davis-Price strung together 2 really, really good practices, in my opinion. Where do you see him at heading into this preseason game? He's not listed as the number 2 back on the depth chart. Is Jeff Wilson. So do you think he might be able to unseat Jeff Wilson as the number 2 back?
That I'm not sure of, because then that depends on Kyle Shanahan losing his grip on who he trusts, because it's like Meet the Parents. Once you're in the circle of trust, like, that's all he cares about, right? Yeah. He cares about Jeff Wilson being able to pass pro. He knows that he can go to him in clutch moments. So a lot of that will depend on Kyle Shanahan. What I will say about Ty Davis-Price is this. Before you got there, he had issues. He was running into the back of his lineman. He was fumbling pitches. So when we tell you, hey, he's not exactly impressing, and then you show up and all of a sudden he's breaking off run after run. And you know what really surprised me? I think this is the part that surprised me the most, was how well he did on pitches outside. Because I think a lot of people have it in their head that Ty Davis-Price is this downhill guy in between the tackles, but he actually shows burst in those moments, like outside. And I was on with Grant, and Grant said something about, I think he's faster than Elijah Mitchell. And I said, I don't know if he's faster, but what I will say is what I've noticed lately is that he gets to his fastest speed faster. Croc, you know what I'm talking about, right?
Yeah.
Like, there's guys who accelerate faster, but there's guys, when you give them their chance to get to their top speed, they're faster than that guy, right? But Tydavis Price has done a good job of accelerating faster and in moments where he gets it outside. I don't know if I see him in that same role, outside, but he's shown me a little bit more than I think has been let on. I'm one of the people that said, yo, TDP, you're sleeping a little bit on his speed when he gets to it. But there's something about the way that he's been running these last few practices, and I haven't been to the last two, I had to leave. But there's something that had to do with like the way that he's been running in his practices that showed me that he gets to his speed a little bit faster than Elijah Mitchell does. Elijah Mitchell's faster, but he doesn't get to it faster than TDP does. So
which is pretty interesting for a guy who weighs more, right? Now, listen, I know he ran his 40-yard dash at like 211 pounds, which even Elijah Mitchell ran his 40-yard dash at like 201. So guys will kind of slim down so that they could run better. But Tydavis Price ran very well. And from all my understanding, the weight he played at with LSU was much heavier than what he ran at the combine. So how did he look to you? Because for me, he was a little slimmer than I was expecting to see. I thought I was going to see kind of the bigger, bulkier back. I compared him to guys like David Singleton or Montgomery, running back for the...
Oh, David Montgomery.
Yeah, Montgomery, right? For the Bears. Kind of looks like that, right? He kind of has that running style where he's kind of a wider guy, but he's still light on his feet, can accelerate. I think he has more juice than him. I also compared him to a guy like Kevin Barlow, where Kevin Barlow had a little bit of wiggle to him as well for a bigger guy. Still, Tydavis Price, I believe, has more juice than him as well. So did you think he looked a little slim still, or did you think, like, nah, he looked like one of the bigger backs that the 49ers have?
I'll be honest with you. I didn't really look at him like slimmer, and I don't want to lie about that. He may be slimmer, but I didn't notice that right off the bat. What I noticed was as you got there, and Croc, maybe you just need to pull up to every single practice at this point so we can watch Tydavis Price rip off runs, because you was looking at us like, that look good, that look good. Me and Jordan are looking at you like, well, man, we getting cooked right now. But I'm not going to sit here and act like I know, like, what he looked like. But what I did notice was his acceleration was better on outside runs. And for somebody who was pegged as an inside guy who's a bruiser, guy who a lot of people when he was drafted was saying, well, he's going to be the guy that alleviates Debo's runs because he's going to be running through the tackles. It does look a little bit different than what we expected. But still, at this point, Jeff Wilson has come along in these last few practices and looked very good. It's hard for me to see him unseating him. And that has a lot to do with Kyle's trust factor in his running backs.
All right, so let's kind of put it out there right now and just where you're at here. Of course, things can change. We'll watch preseason games, and you might feel a different way about it after the third preseason game. But right now, you look at the running back group. Who's the odd man out? Because you have Elijah Mitchell. You have Tydavis Price, who's a third-round pick. You have Trey Sermon, who's a third-round pick. You have Jeff Wilson, who has ran well for the 49ers when healthy. You have JaMycal Hasty. He's consistently been a third-down back, and even in kind of key situations during training camp practice, I saw him in there on third downs catching passes with the ones. And then you also have, number 41. I think that's your guy, Jordan Mason, right?
Yes, I love Jordan Mason.
So who are the odd men out when it comes to this back? My guy, Abel Somsack, shout out to my brother, Abel. He says Hasty is out. What do you think?
I don't know, man. It's hard. Again, I can't put myself in Kyle's mind because Hasty has earned that third down role, and Kyle likes that. Jordan Mason has done everything well whenever he gets a rep. That's what I want to continue to put out there. Jordan Mason feels like the guy that could be the odd man out, but as soon as he's cut, the Seattle Seahawks pounce right on him immediately, and they pick him up, and they sign him because that's what Seattle does. For me, every single guy has taken a step during camp. Trey Sermon dropped passes, cool. Don't throw him the ball, but he's looked much better running the ball. This preseason, this training camp, he started last training camp as running back 1, even with Raheem Mostert there. And this training camp, he looks better than he did then, and that's why he lost that role pretty quickly. With Hasty, he runs great routes, man. Like, he was beating Fred Warner, Dre Greenlaw, Azeez Al-Shaair, whoever it is that was in front of him. He runs that choice route very well. It feels like I hate to say it, and it's gonna hurt me, but that Jordan Mason feels like the man out because of Kyle. And I just don't know his trust factor in Kyle. I mean Kyle and Jordan, because look, Jermichael Hasty has a practice where he does really well catching the ball. And you're like, there it is. But then he'll have 2 runs that get stopped, like immediately. Trey Sermon will have great runs, but he'll have 2 drops. Ty Davis Price, they don't throw him the ball. He really can't catch it, but he'll have runs that he's stuffed up. Jordan Mason, in whatever reps that he has, catching the ball, running the ball, he's been great. He's been great. So, again, I don't know where Kyle's head at. I don't see how you can cut Jordan Mason, but I'm not about to sit here and act like Kyle is going to feel the same way about Jordan Mason. But I will say this, and this is my out right here. This is my caveat to get out of this. Matt Mayoko predicted on 49ers Talk, his podcast, that Jordan Mason would be the guy who leads this team in rushing yards this year. Matt Mayoko said that.
Listen, the way the 49ers do things at the running back position, it wouldn't
shock me.
It would not be surprising at all. Right. All right, and we got Gammon here. Gammon says, do not slander Jordan Mason.
How am I going to slander Jordan Mason when I'm the one driving the bus, man? I'm driving the bus right now, bro. I'm
not going to lie. Jordan Mason has an ugly face mask. He got to go, bro.
So that's why? But that 41 don't help either, man. You got to get rid of that
number.
You like 41 for a running back?
We don't tolerate any number 41 disrespect. That's the number I wore.
What? Oh, all right. I'll take that back.
It's actually one of the more underrated numbers.
But as a running back, you know what I mean? Like
I think Jeff Wilson looked good in 41.
Didn't Emmanuel wear 41? No.
Mosley wore it.
Yeah.
That's one of those numbers, man. Like I think 40 numbers are disgusting. 41 is the only number where I remember I was talking to my brother. He's like, "Oh, what number are you wearing?" I'm like, "Man, they haven't issued me a number yet." I'm like, "If they give me a 40 number, please be 41."
41.
Next thing I know, somebody sends me something like, "Oh, I see you on the roster, number 41." I'm like, "What? Number 41? Let's go!"
And if they would give
I've never been pumped for such an ugly number, but there are people that make it look really good, and I've actually put together like threads of people wearing number 41. Just so like it's like nah, like this is one of the more underrated numbers. But
Kamara wears 41.
So real quick, Kamara wears number 4. No, there are a lot of guys. I have a whole thread. I mean. It's a whole thread on people wearing number 41 and looking clean in it. 41, I see my guy Sean Bullard. He says 40, 41, 42, 49, not 41. That's it. Ronnie Lott was 42. That shit was still hella ugly, but like obviously he's amazing. He is amazing. But yeah, it's still ugly. Like and you can't even make it. You can't even make it look cool. Like it's just an ugly number. But that doesn't mean that you can't be a great player. There have been plenty of great players with ugly numbers, and Ronnie Lott is one of them.
All right.
Would they use one of their 4 protected slots on a running back? What do you think?
It would have to be Mason, I think, at this point. I think that, oh my goodness. So, again, last year they drafted Trey Sermon 3rd round. They took Elijah Mitchell later, but Elijah Mitchell takes the role from, like, Jordan Mason feels like that guy that could be, but I don't want to act like I know what's going on in Kyle's head. What I would do is I would cut Hasty and I would keep Mason at this point. But does that mean Kyle will do that? I don't know about that.
Yeah, that's what we're gonna see. Hey, I don't know if it's been reported, but Leon O'Neal got released. I'm assuming maybe because of injury. But
no, I don't know if he got released. Did he get released?
No, he got released.
No way.
Well, I just got the text message, so I don't know if it's on social media yet.
So you got the inside stuff.
I got a little, you know what I'm saying, a little insider, just a little bit, you know what I'm saying.
All right, so if that's true, then it's time to talk about him then.
Leon O'Neal?
Yeah.
Go ahead.
I know you guys liked him a lot. I love his attitude. I love all that. He struggled throughout camp. Struggled, man. Like he had problems covering. And what I noticed, Croc, and you could maybe talk me off the ledge when it comes to this, is there's a drill that they run where they put whatever defensive back in single, right? Like he's up high, and the coach takes the ball and he'll look one way or look the other way, and then he'll throw the ball. But by the time he moves to that one direction, you've got to move in that way. And Leon, unfortunately, I watched Jimmy Ward do it, and I'm not comparing him to Jimmy Ward. Jimmy Ward takes one step.
Hold on, my bad. Is there a different number 14?
No, he's Leon O'Neal.
I mean, like, is there a receiver with number 14? Because, in training camp sometimes, like, they double numbers.
No.
Because the text message I got says 14 just got cut, packed his ass up. So
hold on. Let me set a message real quick. But look, let me tell you about what I saw from Leon O'Neal. In coverage, he struggled in one-on-ones. He did. And it didn't matter who he was facing. Ross Dwelley, Tyler Croft, didn't matter. He had problems. But what scared me the most was, again, this drill where the defensive back's in single, but they look right, they look left, and then they throw the ball that way. And as soon as you see him turn that way, you got to break. For me, I watched Leon O'Neal take 7 steps before he started moving in the direction he was supposed to move. And there's guys that have quicker bursts and they move faster. I don't know if that could have contributed, but I was not blown away by Purdy 14 too, right?
Yeah, but it can't be Purdy because the 49ers, they only have 3 quarterbacks in the preseason, which a lot of teams have 4 and 5. So there's no way they cut.
But all right, so look, this is just me talking about Leon O'Neal and what I saw.
Not yet. They will cut. I mean, he'll probably get released and brought back to practice squad. But right now, for training camp purposes, like, no, you're not getting rid of him.
My thing is he's standing like in the spot, like trying to move. It almost looks like a cartoon sometimes where it's like, oh, I'm moving, and then he goes. Yeah, and I'm like, dude, like, what happened? And it's like, I'm not trying to compare him to Jimmy Ward, Tarvaris Moore, any of those guys, but when they move. Like they're already moving like in that direction. It took him a while to get going, and that's it, man. It's just, look, I love the kid's attitude. I love what he brings in terms of energy, because here's one more thing that I noticed. You could tell that he was getting frustrated with his own performance because he allowed a catch and then he tried to punch the ball out at the end, and like it almost started a fight. And guys are like pulling him apart, and like the coaches are like, chill out, like you can't, like, if you get beat, you get beat. This for me felt like a guy who was frustrated with his performance and was just like he was letting it out in that way.
Yeah, and they talked about, I believe there was some type of injury, I believe.
Yeah, he had a groin strain. He said that today.
So sometimes,
he said that yesterday on. Yeah.
You can't. I remember I had a groin strain. I know I had a groin strain in training camp, and it was like, I can't. I remember even Coach Tim McDonald told me, Croc, how you feeling? Got a little limp there. And I'm like, man, my groin, like, he's like, can't make the club in the tub. And I'm like, damn, I already know what that means. Like, bro, I cannot sit out. I can't nothing. Like, you know what I'm saying? When you're undrafted like that, bro, you got to, like, fight through that. And it's tough. But, it's kind of the way training camp is. And when you are guys at the bottom of the roster, you don't have as much leverage. You don't got as much leeway. You don't got as much leash as anyone else. So it's tough. Again, I don't think it's been confirmed. I just searched it.
I'm looking it up and I don't see anything. I sent some texts around to see if somebody knows, but I haven't got anything back.
Yeah, so we'll see. But that's a text message I just got from somebody in the building.
But I will say this, man, and I don't want to be disrespectful. I wouldn't be shocked. I really wouldn't, man. At this point, man, I really wouldn't. Like, and yesterday he kind of lashed out on Twitter at some people, and that kind of, again, it feels like frustration. It feels like somebody who like hasn't been necessarily performing well. It's like, I don't want to tell people how to use their social media, but for someone who gave a objective observation of how he's been and said he hasn't flashed, I would wholeheartedly agree with that assessment. But for him to like push back on that feels like frustration, in my opinion.
I think the frustration part for players is, it's like fans, like, y'all don't know. You don't know what's going on. Like, you don't know what my responsibility is. You don't know what's going on. Like,
Tarvaris Ward hurt?
Yeah, so, I see all that in the chat right now. So you got Ward and Mosley out with some muscle strains or whatever. But I'd assume they'll be back for week 1.
That's all that matters. It doesn't matter about, like, I don't care. Mosley and Ward don't need to play any preseason games, have any practices. They need to be ready for week 1.
Yeah, but 49ers haven't had any injuries. So it's like, all right, like I want, like, we're good. We're healthy. Everything's good. And then it's like, oh, muscle strains. But that isn't, I don't think, anything to be too worried about. It did hold Mosley out a little bit to start last year, right? He didn't play week 1. Maybe didn't play week 2. Think he came in for the Packers game. Because that was part of the reason why they had Deommodore Lenoir and Josh Norman starting against Philadelphia Eagles week 2.
Whatever, man. I was having a good day. I don't want to hear this. This is all bad news, man, at this point.
No, bad news would have been like, Ward out with a torn ACL, knock on wood. You know what I'm saying? Okay, you got a muscle strain. Like, man, you'll be back in a few weeks. Yeah, they got a month before the season starts. What's today's date? Today's the 10th. September 11th. A month from today, they'll be getting ready to play a game the next day, right? Like the first game of the season in Chicago. I'll be there. So I'm not okay. You got a little strain. You got 4 weeks to recover. All right, you'll be fine.
No, that's fine. But the only thing that stinks, and this is why now I'm definitely not going to Minnesota. No Ward against Justin Jefferson. No,
I know. I wanted to see Ward and Mosley get after him.
No, I'm not going now. That's it. I'm not going to Minnesota. Don't care. Do not care.
Yeah, I wanted to see those guys get after it. But, looks like Leon O'Neal might not be on the roster anymore. We'll see. That's the text message I got out of nowhere just now. And it's funny because that person asked me a couple of days ago, like, man, what'd you think about Leon O'Neal? And I was like, I liked his effort in practice. I liked the way he carried himself in practice, how he worked, all those things. Like, jumped out. Here's the thing, because I spoke to his trainer in the offseason, and he asked me, like, man, I know you're plugged in with the Niners. Like, what's the chance he makes it? And I was just telling him about kind of the roster, how it's laid out right now, who's on there, and what Leon O'Neal is kind of up against. And it is tough. And I told him, for him to make the team, he's going to have to be really good on special teams. Like, he's going to have to kill it on special teams. And I know we talk about a lot of coverage and stuff like that for safeties, et cetera, defensive backs. But it would really be all about how are you on special teams? And as someone who wasn't very athletic relative to the normal person, right? I mean, to the superstars in the league, relative to the normal person, I was hella athletic. But like for the league, I wasn't the freakish athlete. It's a little bit harder when you're not that to be really good on special teams. Like, you got to be fast, you got to have speed, you got to be able to, and when you're undrafted, like, bro, like, they don't care if you can play. Like, okay, if you can cover, like, whatever. We got these other dudes to cover. Can you play special teams? And I told this guy, like, it's going to take him special teams to be really good, and that's what's going to force 49ers' hand with keeping them around. Well, I don't know how he was doing on special teams. I can't answer that, but right now I'd say it's probably not as great as he would have liked.
And honestly, for the guys who are undrafted, you have to cut your teeth contributing to the team in another way for them to get to look at you the way that you want, right? Like, if you're down in the dumps and you're like, well, I want to be a cornerback, they're not looking at me like this. If you're not competing in what they're asking you to compete in on special teams, then why should they look at you like in that way? And it's a mindset more than anything. So it's just, I think he has the mindset. I think that that's all great. It's just, again, what I saw was a little bit troubling, and I don't think that there would be many people that would push back on what I'm saying if they've actually seen, him over extended practices and stuff.
Right. All right, here we go. A little break real quick. Make sure, if you haven't already, hit the like button, hit the subscribe button. If you're in the chat, we got plenty of people in the chat. Click that chat down, hit that like button, jump back in. We got over 360 people in here watching live right now. Appreciate all of y'all. And make sure you follow my guy, Jason Aponte, on Twitter. You see his Twitter handle right there on the screen. Let's get into some things about Trey Lance. And obviously, like, this is probably huge anticipation as it pertains to him playing in this preseason game. Everybody wants to see what he looks like. Obviously, they've seen a lot of the reports from training camp. There have been good. There have been bad. There have been in between or whatever. I know the 2 days I was there, I was like, hey, it looked good. Like, yeah, there were a couple missed throws. There was reports, and I pushed back a little bit. On the reports of struggling. Okay, here's the tough thing, man. All right, got to bring some perspective.
Go for it. Let's go.
There were people that we were with, right? And we've had this discussion, so this isn't like, oh, I'm going behind their back, right? But people we were with is like struggling. And it's crazy because when people are tweeting about the team and it kind of picks up steam and you're sitting right next to them, you know what I'm saying? It's like,
you don't want to openly challenge them, bro. Like that's something that we talk about all the time.
You want to be cool about it. Like, right. You don't want to say like, bro, what the fuck you talking about? Right? Like, it's just like, okay, but we say it to your face. Like, we don't go on Twitter and be like, what are you talking about? Like, it's happened to me too, where like I'll tweet something and like, a guy behind me, Brad or Jordan, will be like, bro, that was like actually a sack or something like that. Like, it's good to have those discussions though, because it keeps everybody in line. Right. So the conversation was, struggling with his deep throws and outside the numbers, etc. Right? And I'm like, well, I just watched Trey Lance attempt 4 deep balls. 2 of them to Ayuk in one-on-ones. They were both complete. 2 of them to Deebo Samuel, 1 in one-on-ones and 1 in team. They were both overthrows. So when people ask me on Twitter, like, oh, man, I see this report by the guy sitting next to me of Trey Lance struggling with the deep ball, what do you see? And I'm like, well, the deep ball is the lowest percentage throw a quarterback can attempt.
Correct.
Obviously, you would love for these guys to put it on the receiver every time. But at that point, and again, I'm just talking about that, right, where it was getting reported that he wasn't throwing a good deep ball. And I had not been at any other practices prior to this. So I looked at that day and I'm like, well, shit looked good to me. I mean, completed 50% of them, right, like that he attempted. And I feel like one of them was kind of like, I don't know, it was really tight coverage by Mosley on Deebo. But I didn't see anything too crazy.
You felt like Deebo could have accelerated a little bit more, right?
I felt like, yeah, but I don't want to put on Deebo because maybe that's just not Deebo's game. But now, listen, Deebo is fast, and Deebo can accelerate off the jump. He goes from 0 to 100 fast, but I don't know if he has that next gear when the ball is in the air to run underneath the ball.
But he's also getting back into football shape too. So like I don't know if I can necessarily make that claim off the bat, like with that. Like I feel like a lot of what he's doing is getting himself back into football shape. And let's face it, the rapport with Lance isn't there. So I understand your sentiment
I gotta push back on that too.
All right, go ahead.
Because the rapport with Lance, with Deebo, and I know we hear it like, oh, they're trying to connect, this and that. Mm-hmm. And I think people anticipated this heading into training camp because Deebo hadn't been there. Then there was a little bit of a holdout, etc. But the rapport with those guys, the connection wasn't there vertically. Mm-hmm. Underneath, it was just fine.
It's there. No, it's
underneath,
there.
He was hitting them on crossers and things like that. I heard about one yesterday. Hit him on a crosser. He hit him on some deep comebacks in like third down drills and things like that.
And the drift route, he's got all that.
The 2-minute drill situational. Yeah. It was third down. Who does he go to? Deebo Samuel. So it has been reported that they don't have that connection, but I just think they don't have the connection downfield. Where does Deebo Samuel win? Where are the 49ers going to ask Deebo Samuel to consistently win? And that's underneath. And their connection with Deebo and Trey Lance, between those two guys, it was good underneath. It was not good down the field. So do you agree or disagree?
No, I agree with
that. And you don't gotta agree with me because you're on my show. You can be like, nah,
no, full of shit. I agree with this. Look, I agree with this. Deebo only ran 9 routes 9% of the time last year, and that was one of his lowest run routes last year. That's on record. How much of that has to do with Jimmy Garoppolo? I don't know. But I know that those throws are going to happen more and more with Trey Lance. That's what I mean about rapport. That underneath shit, that's all going to be fine. Like, you will have that. That's going to be there all day. He knows how to win slants, digs, drift route, all that stuff. He's going to win on those. When I'm talking about rapport, I'm talking about downfield. Those are throws, like the one downfield throw I feel like Jimmy hit to Deebo was a ball that was completely underthrown. Deebo shoved the guy out the way, gets underneath it in Detroit, and then just takes that shit the rest of the way.
Chicago too. Oh, Chicago was a good one.
Oh yeah, Chicago. No, that was all right. So yeah, I take that back.
So look at those, right? Look at those, and we're talking about a quarterback trying to build a connection with his receiver. Mm-hmm. The one thing I said about those, and what I saw in training camp, right? Trey Lance was throwing him go routes for him to run underneath it. Mm-hmm. Jimmy Garoppolo threw the ball deep for him to adjust and make a catch or put it on him. So maybe that's more of how, when we talk about connection, how does Deebo want the ball downfield? Mm-hmm. Bro, just put it on me. Don't ask me to run underneath it. And those are conversations that will probably be had and that they're going to have to figure out.
Yeah, right? That's what I'm saying. They'll figure that portion of it out. But there will be more throws downfield because of the nature of the way that Trey Lance wants to play. Like Jimmy Garoppolo don't want to play like that. Even if the throw's there, sometimes he won't throw it. So that's what I mean about rapport. I think everything else is like going to be fine. But what I mean is rapport downfield, understanding how you want to run. Like him and Ayuk, they're lockstep. You know why? They've been hanging out and they've been doing this shit like over and over and over and over. Like he knows exactly where he wants to go with it. With Deebo, there may be that portion of this game. I don't want to say that Deebo can't win that way. I don't want to say that right now. I really don't, because I don't know if he can, because the quarterback that he had previously didn't want to play that way. I don't know if I want to automatically just write him off and say he is only this guy Sure, he can be better at certain things than other routes, but I don't want to say that he can't do it. And I think that they have a little bit to work through in that way. And what you noticed was after practice, I believe it was, I don't know if you were there that day or it was like day 7. They stood on the field afterwards and just ran go routes. Like, where do you want this ball thrown? So clearly they're working through that portion of it as well, too. There's still a little bit more to Deebo's game that I feel like can be unlocked. And I think that Trey Lance has a chance to unlock it, but they've got to get lockstep on those go routes, which, again, those are the hardest routes to complete. Those are usually 50-50 balls. I get that. But
and also, real quick, remember, too, back to rookie year, Deebo Samuel. First preseason game against Dallas Cowboys. What did he catch down the left sideline? A bomb from C.J. Beathard. But how was it thrown? It would put more on him in the air, just go up and make a play. Deebo did. So, again, I think there's a consistent theme there with Deebo Samuel having to catch go routes. He's not a guy that's going to run under it. And what I mean by that is when the ball is thrown and you see the trajectory of it, and it's like, okay, I need to hit another gear right now. I haven't seen him hit that next gear. So it's like you got to put it on him and then let him adjust, and he's a good enough receiver to make a play on the ball.
And how much of that has to do with the fact that he may not be in game shape? How much of that has to do with like rapport? Like again, like those are all variables right now. That's what practice is for. Like don't tell me that they're not connecting right now in training camp, and that's all of a sudden, well, they're not just going to get it together. There's a lot of factors in it, and I think that right now they're working through that. I'm not as worried about it, but I do think that they need to connect a little bit more. Just a little bit more. That's it. They just need to get that rapport down a little bit more.
All right. I think where I was going with, I forgot exactly where I was going
with it.
Well,
we were talking about Trey Lance.
Well, yeah, we're talking about Trey Lance, and I think where I was going with it was just kind of like how things are being reported. There's some good. Obviously, there's some bad. There's some missed throws. There's some really good completions, etc. I have also talked about the numbers being reported, and this is not like a shot at you or anyone else. And even I am like a person who doesn't like reporting numbers, but I talked about first day he completed 8 out of 12 passes, right? And one of them was a shovel pass, so like that's a gimme. But if we're keeping stats like you would in a game, that is a completion. Overall, what are like some of your takeaways? I think a lot of people, I'm not exactly sure how they were approaching Trey Lance in practice. I know for me, a lot of it was just, where's he at day 1? Where's he at day 2? Okay, how does he progress? What are they asking him to do? And it's really, for me, not a day-to-day thing. It's okay, at the end of preseason, okay, where is he at? And then at the midway through the season or a quarter through the season, where's he at? And kind of keep checking on him quarterly almost, I would say. So if you're looking at it from that perspective, how do you think the 49ers can game plan around where he's at? Talk about some of his deficiencies or inconsistencies in his game and areas where maybe he's excelled and you say, you know what, maybe they can win with it this way. So just overall, your perspective on Trey Lance and where he's at.
We've watched Kyle Shanahan game plan around quarterback deficiencies, and I'm not just talking about Jimmy Garoppolo. Every single one of the quarterbacks that he's had to deal with, Brian Hoyer, C.J. Beathard, Nick Mullins, Jimmy Garoppolo, he's found a way to get around those things. I don't care about the numbers. I promise you, man. I stopped charting the numbers because there's no number that can quantify progress. Let me explain. And anybody who's watched my show, I feel like I'm saying this for the 100th time, but for Croc, and your people, I'm going to explain in this way. Not every incompletion is a bad rep. Not every completion is a good rep. Let me explain. On an incompletion, Deebo Samuel can put the ball exactly where it needs to be. Deebo Samuel catches the ball, but Emmanuel Mosley punches that thing out at the last second.
Hold on, you said Deebo, but Trey Lance.
Yeah, Trey. No. What I said, he threw it to Trey. He threw it to Deebo.
No, I know, but you said Deebo Samuel can complete it to Deebo, but Trey Lance can complete it to Deebo.
Trey Lance can complete. I'm getting ahead of myself because I'm getting excited. Trey Lance can complete a pass to Deebo Samuel. Beautiful ball, put it exactly where it needs to be. Emmanuel Mosley punches that thing out, incompletion.
How far downfield was that?
It was like 30, 40 yards downfield. It was
so this is a deep ball.
Yes.
And I've heard from multiple people. I listened to Haberman and Middlecoff. I'm hearing it from you now, where they said it was a beautiful throw from Trey Lance down the sideline, right into the hands of Deebo, and Mosley came through and punched it out. Right?
And he finishes the play like every good cornerback should do, because Emmanuel Mosley's been balling for the time that he's been there. But that's an incompletion on Trey Lance.
So real quick, and I know I keep kind of cutting you off, my bad. But So just to kind of add context to everything that you're saying. So when people look at his numbers for the day, and that's how they are judging how well Trey Lance is doing. Let's say he goes 8 of 16, and you're like, oh, he completed 50% of passes. It's not just a normal, oh, he completed 50% of passes. It's, oh, he only completed 50% of passes. He's not developing the right way. Right.
And,
like that's how they're judging his progress and where he's at. But what you're saying is, well, in those you don't know if there's a couple drops from Javon Jennings, which has happened. You had a perfect deep ball to Deebo Samuel. It got punched out. So now there are 3 or 4 times where, hey, if a guy, his receiver makes a play on a perfectly thrown ball, then maybe his completion percentage doesn't look as bad. And maybe we look at his overall development better. Am I reading you right there? And I don't want to put words in your mouth, but
no, you're absolutely right. That's exactly where I'm going with this. So that incompletion goes on Trey Lance. And if I told you, hey, there was 4 reps, there was an 0 for 1 on Trey Lance, and I didn't put anything but that in the tweet, you'd be like, damn, Trey Lance is, he's messing up again. But you don't explain what happens. In the same way, Trey Lance could be high on a ball, and Brandon Ayuk jumps up and catches that thing, and it's a completion. And I say he went 1 for 1 on these set of reps. You're like, oh, there it goes. Completion percentage might be one of the most overrated ways to evaluate quarterbacks in progress. Sam Bradford broke the record for completion percentage. Why? Was he throwing the ball down the field? No, he's throwing quick passes here, there. So if I told you that Trey Lance went 10 for 10 in practice, would you say, oh my God, he's getting it? But did I leave out the fact that all of them were wide receiver screens or tunnel screens, or like the progress that he's going to make protecting the ball in the pocket is not going to be quantified by any number. And any number that's thrown out there and you're just using that based on that to evaluate him is either you trying to prop up whatever narrative you want, or 2, blindly objecting, blindly like getting away from the context of those throws. So for me, there's plenty of times like, all right, 2 practices ago, and I wasn't there for this. Trey Lance probably had his worst practice, right? Numbers wise, I think we can agree with that. What was it, like right. 3 for 13, things like that? Pockets collapsing around him, probably a sack at that point. The throw is off. Oh, okay, but you need all of those things to talk about those things, right? Like it's hard for me to take those numbers as raw numbers and just say, this is where Trey Lance is at. And again, when people ask me, what's the number that he needs to hit to show progress? There is no number. You need to see what he's doing. If by week 18, he hasn't progressed past week 1, I don't care what the numbers say. If he hasn't progressed with your eyes, hasn't progressed to the point where you're seeing a guy who's seeing the field, throwing the ball to the right guy, getting the ball out on time, or just moving out of the pocket, then there's a bigger problem than whatever number standard you set on him.
Yeah.
And this may sound like me making excuses, or no. Objectively, Jimmy Garoppolo had whatever his completion percentage was. That's impressive. But we know the nature of those throws, and we know where they are. And that is impressive, because I don't want – like, the one thing I want to walk away from this is I don't want to shit on Jimmy Garoppolo and what he did, because there is some impressiveness to what he's done in terms of how he gets the ball and he delivers the ball. It's not
Jimmy
it's not
Garoppolo, where he excelled at, is probably one of the more difficult things to do from the quarterback position.
100%.
To be as accurate for the most part. You'll hear some people say that he's not accurate. You'll hear some people say like he is. But I think overall his accuracy over the middle in that area of the field was really good. It is very hard to consistently be accurate there, and people might be able to point to a throw in there, here and there, that might be a little bit over, or might be a little bit behind, or a little bit too far forward, and that could lead to some interceptions. And that's the tough part about Jimmy Garoppolo's game that you have to kind of live with, knowing it is high risk. But he did do those things at a high level for him, right?
So for me, like, and Clark, I got to get out of here in a bit so I can go pick up my daughter real fast. But I want to leave with this. There is no number that's going to be out there for me. In the same way that he had his best practice, by all accounts, yesterday, doesn't make me want to go put him in Canton, is the same way that those practices that weren't good make me want to label him a bust. I think that you cannot enjoy the ups without the downs. And you need to understand that that's what it's going to be going forward. If there are people that want to objectify and say that they don't care about one good practice, but they're good on all the negatives, those are people trying to prop up their priors. Anybody who is doing this so they can sit there and actually get it correct understands you need to get more information. Understand taking that information and do your evaluations based on that. One practice isn't going to put him in Canton. One practice isn't going to make him an absolute bust. Everybody agreed right before they turned it over to him. Everyone agreed. There'll be ups, there'll be downs, there'll be bumps, there'll be bruises. But now the bumps are coming, and you don't want to hear that now. It's weird to me because everyone agreed. He's a project. He needs development. But yet some people don't want to hear that there may be a practice where he's not that good this day. He wasn't exactly accurate. I don't understand if you guys all believe that why is it so hard to digest a negative practice report in that way? And why one negative practice report does not push him into a bust category in the same way that like a one positive report. Don't overreact to all of this. Like, that's my point. Just continue to evaluate. And I think that's where we're at this point. If you agree that there's bumps and bruises, then take the bumps with the bruises and take the ups with the downs. Listen, I'm sorry to yell and all that shit, but my bad.
Nah, you're good, man. And, I know you got to pick your daughter up, so I just want to let you out, and I appreciate you coming on, and tell everybody where they can find you.
Yeah, man. Shout out to you, Croc. I'm sorry that I fell asleep yesterday. I know you were trying to get me on, man, but like, my little one was not cooperating at all. It was great to kick it with you. I didn't know Brian Peacock was my height, and the only reason that I'm taller than Peacock is because my hair was up higher. So like that's why I'm gonna keep the hair going forward.
He's a tall dude.
He is a tall dude, man, and it was pretty cool to see you get a bunch of love like in the crowd and everything, man. Like a lot of you guys that like said what's up to all of us, man. I don't want it to be lost on you guys that means a lot. Like, especially for like a little guy like me, you know what I'm saying? Like, I know Croc's like signing autographs and shit. Like, that's different or whatever. Hey, man, whatever. I just like bothering Croc because he doesn't like all that attention or whatever. I love doing that to him. But hey, man, thanks for having me on here, man. Jason Aponte 2103 on Twitter. And subscribe to my channel, Jason Aponte. We've got a bunch of stuff. We're going to be talking with Brad Graham right out of practice. We're going to have some stuff going on. And anywhere that you get your audio podcast, Niners Nation, make sure that you subscribe there. I'm on the Oh Hey There podcast with Leo Luna. But Croc, thank you again, man, for lending me your platform. Always a pleasure to kick it with you, bro.
All right, man. Gotta have you on again next week.
Yes, sir.
All right, dog. See you.
All right, bro.
All right, shout out to everybody that's in the chat right now. Hit that like button, hit the subscribe button, all that good stuff. Let's get into some of the messages in here, some of the comments that I had liked, all right, or starred. Someone said, my guy Cheese right here says, I thought Peacock was midget size. Peacock is like 6'5". He's like 6'4", 6'5". He's a tall dude. And it takes a lot, like not saying I'm just like this big, tall guy, but I'm 6'2", 6'1", 6'2", and Peacock makes me feel short. Man, get out of here. Can I get a pick, Croc? Bruh, we got picks together. Going back to 4th grade, 5th grade. Shout out to my dog, Abel. Here we go. So you guys see Frank Gore got charged with domestic assault. I did see that. Don't know anything more than what I'm saying. I'm not speaking on that. I don't know. I did see that though. I saw that report and didn't know exactly, I don't know nothing about it. Did you listen to the radio clip where Trey Lance was interviewed by Greg Papa on how he had to learn how to re-grip the throw and football after he got his finger injury last night, or last season? I did not hear it, but I definitely heard someone explain it in detail. And essentially what Trey Lance was saying was when he broke his finger or whatever, he had to learn to grip the ball in a way to where it wouldn't hurt his finger, but still be able to throw the football. So after preseason, because he hurt it in preseason, the rest of the year, he was gripping it differently than he typically would throw a football and to protect his finger, but it created a bad habit. And now he sometimes reverts back to that. So I guess if you would say that his throws or the way it comes out of his hands might be a little inconsistent, is because he's trying to get back to his normal grip. And yeah, he created a bad habit. So we'll see if he can kind of fix that. Yeah, but yeah, I heard about that and I heard them explain that. Did y'all see how Kyle said he didn't even give Jimmy the new playbook? Looks like the fear of Jimmy lingering for another season is put to rest. Jimmy will be gone by roster cut time. Jimmy, they've said all along what their intentions were with Jimmy Garoppolo. They appreciate his services. Kyle Shanahan came out on the Kawakami show and said, listen, I think we're in a good place, and I think Jimmy Garoppolo will be in a good place for someone else. So he's continued to tell us that. For whatever reason, people are ignoring that, and they've ignored it all along. And Kyle's like, I don't know how many other ways I could say this. So, yeah. Simple assault could mean grabbing an arm. Right. I don't know, I don't know grabbing these females' arms. So, but yeah, I see what you're saying. See, that's what I'm saying. I don't know the details of any of this. When you hear like domestic dispute or whatever, you should think somebody bombed on a female, right? Like you should think somebody punched a female in the face. So like that's the first thing that comes to my mind. But yeah, simple assault could be he just, hey man, what you doing? And then it's like, don't you grab me? But again, I'm not defending. I don't know nothing about it. I don't want anybody to come on here like Croc said Frank Gore didn't do it. The next thing you know, some pictures surfaced with a chick with beat up face. So I ain't touching none of that. All right. 49ers are going to be garbage. Trey Lance for a quarterback. All right. I think you missed. There's a typo somewhere or a missed word, but I get the gist of what you're saying. Hey, maybe you are right. Maybe you are right. Maybe you're wrong. We'll find out. But anyways, I appreciate everybody that's tuned in for this show. Shout out to all y'all. We have 400 people in here chilling for most of the show. Hit the like button, hit the subscribe button. We'll be back at this time again, 9 a.m. Pacific tomorrow. So it'll be after I train my athletes in the morning. I saw somebody in the chat say, Croc, this is more like it. It needs to be at this time every day. I don't know what y'all think, because I like doing it in the morning. Pause. Wow. I like recording in the morning, but if my West Coast folks say, hey man, 9 a.m. Pacific is better than 6:30 a.m. Pacific, then maybe we'll do that. I don't know. Y'all let me know how y'all feel about that. Because again, how this morning show came about, it wasn't something that was planned. I don't know if y'all remember. We got some people in here that might remember going way back. All right. But when we first started this middle of the season, I came on live just because I had some thoughts on Kyle Shanahan and the coaching situation. So I went live in the morning. It was like 6:30 a.m. Pacific time. I'm just like, man, I'm gonna talk about it on Instagram. So I came on, I talked about it. And I'm like, damn, there's like 150, 200 people in here. So I'm like, y'all want me to come on tomorrow? They were like, yeah. So we came on tomorrow. Like 250 people, 300 people down there. And then the very next day was when Stephon Gilmore, first it was reported he got released. Eventually it was he ended up getting traded. But they were going to release Stephon Gilmore. So I went live during that time, and we had almost 500 people in here. I'm like, oh, this is an everyday thing here. So that's how it kind of started at that time. This time might actually be a little better for me once my gym is finished, because I will have some adult fitness stuff going on in the morning. So we'll see. We'll play it by ear. Right now, I'm going to keep it early. I see my guy, Lake City Fresh, says, nah, keep it early. I saw some other people in here keep it early. So most likely we'll keep it early unless I just absolutely can't for business purposes with my training facility. Which, finally, I say finally, it's not done yet. Right now where we're at is they're supposed to, and we'll see, because man, I can't say how many times I've heard this, but I'm supposed to get the turf installed Friday or Saturday, right? So Friday or Saturday, they should come through. It takes a few days for them to lay down my turf. Once they lay down my turf, everything else is ready to go. I got all my rubber mats. We'll lay those there. I got 50 yards of turf this way, 25 yards of turf this way, a whole fitness workout area. But I can't even put together all this equipment. I got my rigs, everything. I got all my benches. I got all the stuff I need to be able to train a bunch of athletes in my big ass gym. But this will be my greatest accomplishment. Talking with y'all on YouTube is cool too. But aside from talking to y'all on YouTube, this gym, my greatest accomplishment. I had to do it myself. I had to figure out a way. I got help. When I say do it myself, I knew if I wanted to work in the gym setting, which I had before, but out here, it's like, Croc, you got to figure out how can you do this on your own, because all the things that I want to implement in it, and my things with the youth. Again, some people are like, man, everybody's okay with everybody's not okay with having things structured around the youth, children. I'm gonna have all kind of stuff. I got the all kind of stuff, man. I'll get more into detail with it, but I wanted to bring more of an element with really teaching the kids, really showing them the way. Obviously, we have the sports performance training. Kids will be getting faster, more agile, stronger, all that. I will have my adult fitness as well, but there's going to be movie nights on weekends. We're going to watch movies to learn more about history, all right? Things that they're not teaching as much in schools anymore. I want to create this kind of life and decision-making course. It was something that we had in the NFL when I was with the Jets. They had this thing where for 2 hours a day, you learned about everything that you'd encounter as a professional athlete. And I thought that was really cool. I thought that was something that, and it's crazy. I don't think people put it to use. They teach you how to buy cars, all that. So I will have a bunch of guest speakers come through and talk to these kids about credit scores. The police. I have some of my old teammates are actually police officers out here in Arkansas. Bring them here to talk about law enforcement, how they view things, how they see things, how to conduct yourself. If you're stopped, whatever that any of these kids might go through in life, I want to be able to cover all those things in this gym. So I'm excited about it, man. I'm excited. It's gonna be fun. It's a almost 12,000 square foot gym. Got 40 feet up ceilings. Got the baseball stuff in there. My nets. Everything's gonna be up real soon. So I'm excited about that. I am excited. But anyways, appreciate everybody that tuned in today. Tomorrow we're gonna be here same time, and Friday we'll see. Tracy Sandler is traveling to Minnesota today, so I won't have her on, but I'm thinking about recording with her tomorrow evening and putting that out Friday morning, and I can tune in live with y'all, kind of like what we did last week. But that's going to do it for this episode of San Francisco 49ers Morning Show. Make sure y'all listen to Locked On 49ers as well. It's on any streaming platform that y'all can find. Shout out to my guy, Jason Aponte, for coming on here and chopping up with us. I'm just rambling on by now. So I appreciate y'all. Love y'all. See y'all tomorrow. Peace.
Intercepted. It is picked up by Aaron Rodgers over midfield. He'll run it all the way into the end zone. Touchdown.
Crop Talk TV podcast. Peace.